your chicken stops what she's doing, lifts her head and comes running towards you just because she heard your voice, do you actually know what's happening inside her head? Yeah, it's adorable, but behind that behavior, there's something much deeper than most chicken keepers ever realize. It's one of the most intelligence-loaded things your chicken can do, and if you're misreading it, like almost every keeper does, you might be missing messages she's been trying to send for a long time. Let's start with what that behavior actually means. Breaking the assumption. First, let's dismantle a belief that almost everyone carries. Most people assume chickens are dumb animals, that they only respond to food, routine, and the most basic instincts. It's just a chicken. You've heard that before. Maybe you've even thought it yourself, but here's what science has been uncovering. According to a review published in the journal Animal Cognition by researcher Dr. Marino of the Kimmela Center for Animal Advocacy, chickens possess cognitive, emotional, and social abilities that have been systematically underestimated, abilities previously thought to be exclusive to mammals. And when your chicken stops, tilts her head slightly, and looks directly at you after hearing your voice, that's not simple instinct. There's something far more sophisticated going on. Yes, she recognizes you, and it's not just about how you look. Most keepers assume their chicken recognizes them by their size, their clothes, the way they walk. That makes sense. But animal cognition research indicates that chickens can distinguish individual human faces with a precision that surprises researchers. A study conducted by scientists at the University of Exeter, published in the journal Animal Cognition, found that chickens are able to differentiate between human faces even when other visual elements are changed, like clothing and lighting. But it doesn't stop there. When you speak and she tilts her head to the side, she's using both senses at once. Her eye to process visual details, and her ear to identify where the sound is coming from and who is speaking. She's identifying you, not some human, you specifically. And that changes everything about what it means when she chooses to come toward you. The sound she saves just for you. Have you ever noticed that your chicken makes different sounds depending on who's walking toward the coop? That's not your imagination. According to ethological studies published in Applied Animal Behavior Science, domestic chickens have a rich and context-specific vocal repertoire, with researchers documenting between 24 and 30 distinct vocalizations associated with specific situations: alarm, feeding, social contact, and chick calls. But what most keepers don't know is that chickens socialize with specific humans tend to emit soft contact calls, short, repeated, low-frequency sounds, consistently in the presence of people they have a positive bond with. This is what ethologists describe as social affiliation vocalizations. If your chicken makes a soft sound when you approach and sounds the alarm when a stranger walks up, she's using her language to communicate something very clear. I know who you are, and you are different. And hey, if this is making sense to you, hit the like button and subscribe. It's the best way to help this channel reach more people who actually care about understanding their animals. She remembers you, even after days away. This is where things get really interesting. And there's something I want to mention now that I'll come back to at the end. Something every keeper wishes they'd understood sooner. Chickens have long-term memory for human faces and voices. According to Dr. Marino's review in Animal Cognition, chickens are capable of maintaining complex social memories over extended periods. And those memories aren't limited to simple reward associations. They involve individual recognition of other animals and specific humans. So when you come back from a few days away and your chicken responds to your voice before she even sees you, she's not reacting randomly. She's recognizing someone who was stored as safe and familiar in her memory. You are part of her social map, and that map doesn't disappear when you leave. I'll come back to this at the end, because what happens when that map gets disrupted is something every keeper needs to understand. The head tilt has a real meaning. That simple gesture has a real neurological explanation, and it completely changes what you feel when your chicken does it. Chickens have eyes positioned on the sides of their heads, which means each eye processes the world independently. According to research by neuroscientist Dr. Lesley Rogers of the University of New England in Australia, one of the world's leading authorities on brain lateralization in birds, the two cerebral hemispheres of birds have distinct and well-documented specializations. The right hemisphere, controlled by the left eye, is associated with processing social relationships, individual recognition, and emotional context. The left hemisphere, controlled by the right eye, is more oriented toward detecting threats and finding food. When your chicken tilts her head to look at you with her left eye, according to this body of research, she's placing you in the social and relational processing of her brain. She's reading you as a relationship, not as a threat, not as a food source. That is a bonding behavior, and she's doing it actively. She changes the whole flock's behavior because of you. Chickens live in a rigid social hierarchy. The pecking order dictates who eats first, who gets the best spot on the roost, who leads the flock's movements. But research on animal welfare and domestic poultry reveals something fascinating. Studies published in the Journal of Applied Animal Behavior Science indicate that chickens with frequent and positive contact with specific humans tend to show lower levels of stress-related behavior and greater willingness to explore their environment. Signs researchers associate with reduced activation of the stress response system. When you walk into the coop and the flock settles down instead of scattering, when they keep scratching and foraging normally in your presence, that's not an accident. Your voice has been associated with safety. Your presence has been coded as absence of threat, and that spreads through the flock. You have become an emotional reference point for the entire group. Think about that. The way you speak to them influences the social dynamics of an entire flock. She notices when something is different about you. Have you ever had a rough day and noticed your chickens acting differently around you? More quiet, closer to you, or the opposite, more skittish? That's not a coincidence. According to research published in the Journal of Applied Animal Behavior Science on the relationship between caregivers and domestic poultry, chickens that have regular contact with specific humans show sensitivity to changes in that person's behavior, including shifts in posture, pace of movement, and tone of voice. When you're stressed, your body changes. Your movements become sharper or slower. Your voice shifts in frequency, and they notice. They don't know what happened, but they know something is off from the pattern they've learned to recognize as normal in you. Some highly socialized chickens tend to increase contact calls and stay physically closer to their caregiver during those moments of behavioral change, what researchers describe as a response to social signals indicating a shift in the caregiver's state. Day after day, visit after visit, they build a model of who you normally are. And when you deviate from that model, they notice. When she stops responding to your voice, pay attention. And here's what I mentioned earlier, something every keeper truly needs to understand. If your chicken used to respond to your voice, coming toward you, making contact sounds, staying close, and that suddenly stops, don't ignore it. Chickens that are sick or in pain instinctively isolate themselves. It's an ancestral survival mechanism. Showing weakness within the flock increases the risk of being driven out or attacked by the others. According to avian veterinary specialists, and in line with guidelines published by the Association of Avian Veterinarians, a reduction in social behavior and interaction with the caregiver is often one of the first observable signs of compromised well-being, appearing before more obvious physical symptoms. An older hen who suddenly wants to be alone, who stops responding to your voice, who no longer scratches near you, that's worth a visit to a veterinarian with experience in birds. Other times the reason is environmental. A new animal in the space, a change in routine, something that disrupted the flock hierarchy. Something that feels small to you might represent a major disruption in their world. The key is to pay attention to the pattern. Your chicken established a ritual with you, a consistent behavior of recognition and approach. When that pattern changes, she's communicating. She's not in a bad mood. She's trying to tell you something she can't say out loud. Emotional close. Your chicken is not a backyard decoration. She's not just an egg producer. She has individual memory, social hierarchy, her own language, and a capacity for recognition that science continues to map in greater depth every year. And when she stops what she's doing, tilts her head, and responds specifically to your voice out of everything else going on around her, she is making a choice. You were stored in her memory as someone safe. You were learned. You were recognized. So the next time you walk up to the coop and she comes toward you before she even sees you, understand what that actually means. She's not coming for the feed. She's coming for you.